Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back to my channel, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados, and the second episode of me playing Strider. And just like last time, you can see it's quite a cold day. It's actually snowing right now, would you believe? It's almost noon, it's April, and it's snowing. It's not supposed to. Okay, so last time I started playing Strider, and of course I do quite like the science fiction relief, as it were, from the ubiquitous fantasy titles in the Fighting Fantasy series. And this one, I quite like the beginning of it. It reminds me of Space Assassin in a way, but maybe it's more what Space Assassin should have been or could have been. It's so far a much better story, and the way it's fleshed out is much better. So the story so far, although I'm going to start quite from the beginning, but the background is the Gromulans. You are, yes, first of all, you are a bounty hunter, although that's known as a rogue tracer, which means you trace rogues, and the best rogue tracers are known as Star Striders, and you are one of the best. And you have been tasked to save the president of what was it called again? Like the Federation. Think of it like if you think, yeah, the Federation. Let's think of it like that. So it's like the Federation in Star Trek, that sort of thing. Who's been captured by the Gromulans, not to be confused with the Romulans. Although, of course, there is an obvious reference there, as there is to many other things in this book, and is being held captive on an insignificant planet known as Earth, mainly known for its salt mining and operations. Of course, most of the population has long since moved to Alpha Centauri, or Alpha Cent, which is what they call it. And but also it seems to be a place where you get lots of rogues, lots of people who are wanted for whatever reason. So the idea is that they want you to save the president from the Gromulans, and the Gromulans are quite crafty, clever people, and they're very good at creating illusions. They have some machines that make illusions, and that's one of their main weapons. They don't generally they wouldn't necessarily go into any kind of fisticuffs, as it were. They wouldn't. And they will try to trick you or make you scared with their illusions as a way to combat you. So you are going to Earth under cover of being a bounty hunter on the lookout for someone, and that could be lots of people, of course. There are quite some unsavory elements wandering about on Earth, and of course that also is a part of the danger of being on Earth, because if somebody finds out you're a rogue tracer, a criminal might think you're after them, and they might try to kill you first. But your secret mission, is to save the president. And you only have 48 hours as well. So in this one, there's an extra game mechanic of time that ticks down as you do things. And it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. So one thing I also noticed in this book is that on the character sheet, there is a space for clues. I'm liking that. And also one for oxygen, which I don't know anything about yet. So I'm going to keep the character I made last time, just for simplicity's sake, and it was an all right set of stats. So I've got skill 11, not 12. I've got stamina of 22. I've got luck of 10, and fear, which is your ability to resist being scared by the illusions of the Gromulans. And of course, if you do get scared, then you will get some penalties to your abilities, which is usually the effect of it. Right, so I'm just going to get started, I guess. So, yeah, boom. Right, here we are on my desk. Got my supplies, got my book, and my character sheet, my map from last time. Got my dice, pens, pencil, and yeah, I'm ready to go, I suppose. So, character, and I foolishly, of course, used pen for the time tracker here. I'm going to use pencil this time so I can more easily remove that. And Oh yeah, a lot of the people, quite a funny thing actually. If you watch previous episode, the native people, the native warring tribes, as it were, that are still on Earth, they're known as hooligans, and it's quite clear that they actually are the descendants of football hooligans. Yeah, quite funny. And the tribes are Ral, Yuv, Lupul, Gunnas. Yeah, you get the picture. Right, so I'm just going to start from the beginning again and see where that takes us. So you have docked into Earth Shuttle Station. Just hang on, just double check I'm in focus now. Yes, I'm in focus. You have docked into Earth Shuttle Station 23. All lines to Earth. Section 3, a bright neon light announces. You park your Oberon craft in the short-term airlock and walk down to a dirty-looking ticket office. There is no one around. You bang on the small plexiglass window, and eventually a Megacorp android appears and stutters at you. It should have been out of commission years ago. It has difficulty in understanding your request for a ticket on the next shuttle, but eventually takes your credit card and utters what you will soon recognize as a traditional Earth saying. That'll do nicely. As you trudge away down the corridor, you hear the Megacorp squeaking at you to have a nice day. So, of course, an android behind a Perspex screen taking your card to let you pay. Of course, this has not aged very well for a science fiction story, but it has a sort of a quaint, retro, futuristic charm to it. There are about 20 seats in the shuttle, of which only 5 are occupied. You are directed to your seat and given a copy of the safety procedures by a service android, and you sit down on something sticky. Yeah. The android asks you what you will have. Will you reply, nothing? A cocktail or food cubes? Now, last time I asked for food cubes, which gives you more stamina, which, of course, right at the beginning of the game, I can only presume that means that the initial stamina doesn't really matter and you can just go up and down as you want. I'm going to ignore initial stamina for that matter because obviously it says that you can do that. And this time I'm going to ask for something else, I guess. Maybe I'll ask for a cocktail this time. So I'm going to go to 69. But of course it has the effect that I thought it might do. So a drink will only cloud your judgment and you will need a clear head for the task in front of you. That's exactly why I didn't choose it last time. I just had to try that now. So skill -1, and that is an option you do not want to take. So I'm going to cross that out now. A drink will only cloud your judgment, and you will need a clear head for the task in front of you. Turn to 39. Okay, but I'm not too bothered about abilities because, as you know, I'm going to be rather flexible with abilities if I need to, because the fun isn't in rolling the dice and trying to beat something with a random number. That's not exciting to me at all. What is exciting is the narrative, the atmosphere, the character, and of course the puzzles, picking up on the hints and the clues, all those things. That's what's exciting to me when I'm playing these books. So I'm going to 39. The shuttle lands in the dark segment of the planet, in what appears to be a desolate area of Sector 3. There are no habitation lights, and you assume that this base station was built in the days when shuttles needed huge landing areas. All the passengers troop out into the station. You look up and see the familiar rocket hire sign and go over to a shoddy counter. There is no android on duty. You stand there reading Zipcar brochures while all the other passengers file towards the Silverhound, which is waiting outside, smoke belching from its rocket outlets. Its destination is Madrid. In the far corner, a Sweepertron takes a break from its work and looks at you. Do you wait around for a Zipcar, talk to the android, or join the others in the Silverhound? And of course, last time I did what seems to be the correct choice here, which is talk to the android. Now, there are different androids on planet Earth that will help you. But there's also a possibility that the Gromulans will have turned an android, as it is known, and it's going to be there. It will have the electronic call signal that will lead me to think that it is a friendly giving me information, when in fact it will be a trap. So one has to be very careful with this. So last time I met this android, and that is someone trying to help me, and then I met another android, and that was a trap. So one has to keep on one's toes, as it were. So I'm going to talk to this android and go to 357. That seems to be the correct path right here. You walk towards the android. It drops its vacuum attachment and goes out of the side door. You follow, turn a corner, and find it waiting for you. It presses the code match signal and you respond. It is one of the planted androids. It gives you as much information as it has gleaned. It tells you that the Groms, that's the Gromulans, are based in 4 cities and that the Silverhound bus is the only mode of public travel to these cities. The Rocket Hire company has withdrawn its services due to lack of demand, and private zip cars are few and far between. All high-level Groms are linked into the bases through their com terms. If you can get access to one of these terminals, you could probably get a lot of important information. So I did try that last time. I was in the police car, the Grompol car, and there was a terminal, but of course you can't get into it unless you have the password. I did not have the password, so and you only have 5 seconds to punch in the code or the password. So the only way I can do that is at some point if I get the information of how to get into a terminal. And of course, if you fail to put in the right password or code within 5 seconds, then there's an alarm that goes off as well. So you have to be very careful because you will get caught very easily doing that. Okay, so still snowing. Right. If you can get access to one of these terminals, you could probably get a lot of important information. When its message has ended, it begins to self-destruct. When you think about it, an android that has been planted that self-destructs, doesn't the self-destruction actually give away a lot more than if it had just gone on? I mean, it's an android. It could do some kind of memory wipe, for instance, instead of self-destructing. The self-destructing doesn't make any sense. So, for instance, it gives you the information, it triggers a routine in its circuitry that removes all trace of what just happened. Maybe that's not possible, and that's why it self-destructs, but that is very suspicious, and yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense, does it? Anyway, turn to 72. Okay, so turn to 72. You board the bus. All the passengers are from the shuttle. You sit down and strap up. The Silverhound lurches and then speeds off. From their conversation, you detect that most of the passengers are sales reps. The main topic is the price of salt mining equipment. One passenger, obviously a Grom, sits ahead in the small first-class section. He is being attended by his own android. You begin to doze off, while the vid screen in front of you shows endless adverts from Galactic Ents Inc. Deduct 2 time units. So I'm now on 46. Yeah, you have 48 time units, 48 hours. I'm now on 46 hours. Suddenly you wake with a start. You look out the window to see lights flashing. The bus slows down and lands in a swirl of dust. 2 Grumpole androids get in and announce that they want to check IDs. When they see your Rogue Tracer's license, they grab you and throw you outside. Do you run for it or go along with them? Now, running for it doesn't sound like a good idea because technically now you're not guilty of anything. You are a licensed Rogue Tracer and you are allowed to be there. The only illegal thing you may have done was if they thought that your license was a dud or something like that. So I'm going to go along with them. I can't see any reason why I should run now. I think I'm just going to make things worse for myself. I think following them will be the right choice. So you are pushed into the Grompole craft and made to stand in front of the Grom commander, who is sitting down. He watches you very carefully, then asks who you are tracing. Do you give him a name or refuse to speak? Now, last time I gave them just a random name of someone who sounds like a felon that a rogue tracer might be tracing or trying to trace. And But it turns out, of course, that you're not supposed to do that. It's part of the code of rogue tracers that you do not reveal your target. And you do not reveal your target even during the duress of a brain scan. You definitely do not give it up freely. It's confidential information. So I'm going to refuse to speak this time because that seems to be the correct response and the one that he should be expecting as well. So I'm going to go to 54. You are right to refuse. Rogue tracers never give any information on likely targets. The Grom accepts this fact and smiles. It stares at you without speaking. You look him up and down and realize how remarkably slight he is and how easy he would be to overpower. They're not very physically adept, these Gromulans. They are, of course, they're cerebral and they're intellectual and they're technological. That's their strength. Just then his neck lengthens and his head stretches from where he is sitting to right in front of your face. His mouth widens and is full of fangs about to bite your head off. Test your fear factor. So, an illusion. 11, I fail. If you're frightened, reduce your stamina by 1 point. Then you are allowed back on the bus. Turn to 219. Okay, so I'm down to 21 stamina I've got. Okay, so it's just trying to scare me, basically. Really. Right, so where am I? 54. Hang on. Refuse. Okay, so stamina -1, and then I am let back on the bus. It says 219. Last time I was not allowed back on the bus, and but I was able to rejoin the bus later. So let's see how this goes. 219. Back on the bus, the others stare at you. The Silverhound takes off and hurtles along, 100 meters above the old Earth highway. As the sun begins to rise, you notice the landscape. The Grom ahead is watching an episode from the latest Galactic Ents soap on its private vid screen. The hard sell commercials continue on the screen in front of you. Deduct 2 time units, turn to 159. So minus time -2. So now we are down to 44 time units left, 44 hours. Turn to 159. Okay, so 159, 159. A stop is announced for breakfast. The Silverhound sets down in a craft park by a small diner. This is no galactic service station. A sign proudly proclaims Julio's. Under original Earthling management. Ooh, impressive. You follow the others inside. There is a wide selection of food cubes and drink tubes for sale. While you tug at a tube, you turn around and come face to face with Kinta Lopsti, an escaped prisoner whom you originally arrested. He recognizes you and rushes out of the door. Do you give chase or keep a low profile and let him go? He is an escaped prisoner, which means he is a legitimate target. I'm not sure how this is going to affect things, though, because apparently, if you are a rogue tracer, you may have contracts, but of course, there's lots of open contracts. So anyone who is a fugitive, a felon who is running from the law, is a legitimate target, and if you trace them, you can also. So I'm not sure to what extent you're supposed to do this, but I'm going to try this now because this is a new thing to me. So 2 options. I'm going to move them up a little bit on my map now, just in case I need space here for something else. I'm going to move them up here. So there's 17 and 299. So chase or stay. Now, if I let him go, will he come back? Maybe just running off to get his gun. I don't know. I'm going to go to 299, give him chase, and see how that ends me up. You drop your cubes and chase chase after him. When you're outside, you see him signaling towards a group of rocket bikers in the far corner of the craft park. You immediately whip out your catchman and pull the trigger. Throw 1 die. If you throw 4 or under, your weapon has jammed and you take him on unarmed. Yeah, this is the thing about the catchman, which is a kind of sort of a net launcher thing. It's not very reliable, so there's a big chance of failure. Right. Okay, so if you win, turn to 121, and if you lose, turn to 19. Okay, so look, so I've got 2 options there. Let's put them up like so. So lose 19, lose. So lose is not necessarily dying, it seems then. So 121 win. So this of course is there. Okay, so skill 6, stamina 8. So normal rule supply. I've got skill of actually technically I've got 10 skill because I had a cocktail. I'm just going to do it by the book so far. So I've got a skill advantage of 4. So he rolls 11, I roll 7. That's a draw. He rolls 5, I roll 7. So that is I hit him. His stamina is down to 6, 8, 10. His stamina is 4, 5, 7. His stamina is 2, and 3, 5. His stamina is 0. So I have defeated him, and so I win and go to 121. You find a basement to hide him, and you strap on a signal unit so that Trace Beam can find him. He snores while you cover him up with sacks. So basically now you've tagged him and you've prepared him for collection, as it were, and then of course when he's collected you get your bounty and credits or whatever, however that works. That's the impression I get, and I suppose that's a good system. Okay. Back in the diner, all eyes, including plastic pupils, are on you. They have all realized what your profession is. Oh, maybe that was a bad idea then. Someone asked if you got him. You turn around and see a large man wearing a t-shirt with Julio on the front of it. Do you respond and chat with the man, or ignore him and get on with your breakfast? Maybe I should just get on with my breakfast. Yeah, probably a good idea, isn't it? Don't want to make too much of a spectacle of myself. I didn't think about that actually. Yeah, because now everyone will realize, everyone on the Silverhound, who I am or what I am. I don't know, but he might also have some information though. So, so talk or silence. So I'm going to talk to him now and see what happens. So. Criminals and grums, that's all we have on Earth these days. Always glad to see a rogue tracer. The man is the owner of the diner and proclaims himself the last of the native independents. He loves to talk and eventually gets onto the subject of grums. We are second-class citizens on our own planet, although most natives have left for Alpha Cent. No real jobs here, you see. He tells you of the hooligans, whom he describes as good boys, really. His son is a member of a gang in Madrid. He is called Jose 90. Add 1 luck point. Okay, so 1 luck point. Well, I'm not going to add a luck point because, well, I haven't lost any luck. So this might be a clue because it's got a number there. So this might be, so Jose 90, which means at some point the paragraph reference 90 may be relevant. So I'm going to put a note there, and for last from 232 we got a clue, so that's a clue. Jose 90. Eventually the bus, and also that's quite a thing in fighting fantasy books, and of course that's how it should be done. When you get a piece of information that is, or an item that is a correct item for the correct path, that is when I think you should get awarded with luck points, as an indicator as well that you're doing the right thing. It's one of the ways you can communicate, I think, as a gamebook writer with your reader that you're on the right track. and it gives a bit of a confidence boost, which is quite nice, and it motivates you to keep playing as well. So there are many positive aspects of that. It shouldn't just be used willy-nilly. I think it's something very important should be given awarded luck points. Okay, so luck +1. Let's put that there as well on my map. Eventually, the bus signals take off and you rush to board it. As you settle, you realize that you haven't eaten anything. The Grom in front of you is being served a Galtarian omelette by his android. Reduce your stamina by 1 point and turn to 22. Okay, so stamina down to 20. And then we turn to 22. Okay, so 22. So this seems, the talking to him also seems now like the correct thing to do, because you got information and a clue that sounds like it could be useful. The Silverhound lurches off again. That's a second lurching, by the way. It seems to be the only verb to describe the movement of the Silverhound as it takes off. And you have to listen to the rep's dirty stories about the pleasure planet of Luxurious. Eventually, you reach Madrid. Oh, hang on. I've seen this one before, so go away. We have been here before. We were down here on 22. There we are. Because this is where you get back to the Silverhound if you were taken by the Grompol first. Then this is where you rejoin the journey. Okay, so eventually you reach Madrid and everybody gets off, turn to 179. You make your way towards the Silverhound terminal. A few natives wander around carrying heavy cases. In the craft park, there are 2 buses, one marked Roma and the other being repaired by a team of mechnoids. You see a sign marked Services and head towards it. Turn to 235. You find that there is only one route that links the northern sector. Most services have been cancelled due to lack of demand, and there are considerable delays between stops. While you are working out the times, an android stands next to you and you feel the code match pulse on your chronograph. Deduct 2 time units. So time units down now to 42. Do you signal back or decide to follow it first? Okay, so this is where signaling back is the bad thing and it will be the end of the story. And this is also where you have the Silverhound map and timetable. I made a note of that on my map here because these numbers may be relevant later on. If you notice, all the numbers end in 0, which means if you remove the last digit, all these could be paragraph references. It could be 60, 120, 65, 125, 81, 141, etc. So very important thing, I think, maybe to note. Since I don't know what information will be relevant later, and there is a section called clues on your character sheet, I take it that this is something that could be part of the puzzle of this book. I am liking that because that's one of the things I really enjoyed about Victoria Hancock's Night Shift as well. You never know what information will be important later on, so you start making notes and you make notes and you make notes. I'm quite liking that as a concept. Okay, so obviously signaling back is the wrong thing, so I will follow it first, is then of course the only option I have that will be the right one. The android wanders off out of the terminal. You give it a few minutes and then go to the window. You look out carefully. It is speaking to 2 Grompol androids, and it is obvious that it has been turned. Luckily, the planted androids do not know what you look like. The turned android moves off and fingers its stun gun as it passes a group of hooligans who are trying to break into a food cube dispenser. Do you follow the android or approach the hooligans? Right, so follow android or hooligans. I don't know. Maybe I should talk to the hooligans. 29, because they can be quite good people, can't they? According to Julio. So, and of course, his son Jose might be among them. Who knows? So follow and Then again, the android might be going somewhere that's useful for me to get information about the Groms. It could be a terminal, something like that. I don't know. Maybe he's going to report to someone. I don't know. But so I'm gonna go with the hooligans for now. So, but this might be where next time, if this turns out to be a wrong choice and I branch off in a different way. So I'm gonna talk to the hooligans. Go to 29. As you approach the hooligans, they notice you and slowly surround you. They watch you carefully. Some of them are swinging chains in the air. One of them, who appears to be the leader, asks you if you have any credits. You look at him carefully and see that he has the figure 90 scrawled on his cheek, so that could be Jose. Do you give them any credits or refuse and stand your ground? Okay. Do I give them any credits or refuse to stand their ground? So at the moment, I was not given an option to indicate to them that I know who this number 90 guy is and that I know his dad. 147, 287. Stand ground or credits? I'm going to stand my ground, I think. And I'm going to encourage them by giving them something right away. I'll have to fight for it. You know that hooligans are famed for their skill in stealing, so you do not show them any credits, but merely hint at the prospect of payment. They are suspicious and begin to back away, muttering about Grom agents. How do you win them over? If you think you know the leader's name, count up the letters of his first name. Multiply this number by his tattooed number and go to that reference. Otherwise, turn to 174. Aha. Okay, so there we are. That's quite a clever way of doing it, because now they can reveal in the previous paragraph that the number is 90, but it's not enough information. It's just half the information you need to actually get the paragraph reference. So it gives you the identification that leads you to know what information to use, but it doesn't give you the paragraph you eventually need to go to. Well, that's fair enough. Yeah, okay. So that leaves us with two options. So that's 174 or secret paragraph reference. So so it's a number of letters multiplied by his number. So it's 4 letters times 90. So 4 times 9, 36, and paragraph 360 is where I am going. Jose asks you how you know his name, and you explain about his father's diner. He relaxes. The chains and spears are put away, and Jose begins to accept you. He suggests going to get something to eat. Turn to 132. Okay. I am in 132. Your companion explains everything to the rest of the gang outside the food bar. You let them know that you are a rogue tracer working against the Groms. They seem to despise Groms as much as rival hooligan gangs. You all enter the bar, where they order strange-sounding food. When it arrives, there are no cubes, but a mass of small sea creatures immersed in yellow grains. Ugh, that's really weird. You fear contamination and are at first reluctant to eat, but the smell is so wonderful that you cannot resist. The food turns out to be even better than your mother's homemade food cubes. That's quite funny. Add 3 stamina points and turn to 315. So plus 3 stamina, and then we go to 315, and I'll probably change pages for this one. Yeah, stamina. I'm just gonna go back to 22. There we are. I'm turn to 315, and I'll need to restart my camera as well. Right, 315. Excuse me. Okay. You pay and discuss the help you need. You let them know that you want access to a highly placed Grom com-term. They argue among themselves, but decide on 2 likely places: the Plaza de Toros or the Hacienda. The former is accessible only to androids, but I think that they can get you in. The hacienda is less heavily guarded. Do you choose the Plaza de Toros or the hacienda? Right. Okay, so I'm gonna change pages. 315. I was gonna 315. So we got here 315, and this is page 2 F. What number is this? 27. Okay. So Plaza de Toros or Hacienda? I mean, one of them sounds easier, but of course, the one that sounds easier, there may be other obstacles as well. I'm going to try the Hacienda, I suppose. I'm going to try the Hacienda. So I'm going to go to, well, I'll put both options up on my map anyway. Let's see, let's put up a bit of space there. So we can do like that. So 286 or 183, Hacienda or Plaza de Toros. So I'm going to go to Hacienda, 183. Right, so they lead you to the building. Hang on, I'll just double check I'm in focus after restarting my camera, which, by the way, my memory card is full in 2 minutes, so I'll need to restart it again. So that'll be a little bit more choppy cuts than you might be used to. I don't, as you know, I don't really do the sort of typical jump cuts that YouTubers do unless I really have to, and I don't do it mid-sentence like some do. I only do it if I'm having a coughing fit, or the doorbell rings, or the phone rings, or if I have to restart my camera because it's half an hour at a time. So yeah, those are the only reasons. Anyway, they lead you to the building by various back streets. They are cautious because this is not their territory. Ah, yes, gangland stuff, of course. They place scouts along the route, and signals are passed along the line. They lead you to the service entrance of the hacienda, shake hands, and retreat in orderly fashion. Very organized. You check your chronograph and have a good look at the building. Turn to 167. Okay, so 167. This, to me, indicates at the moment that speaking to the proprietor of that diner is actually essential, because you get that clue about Jose 90, and that seems to be the only way to get to this point. Oh, nice drawing there. Okay, the building is spacious and luxurious. There is no one around, and you carefully slip into the courtyard. Just then, a gust of wind blows up some dust and reveals beams crisscrossing the open space in random order. You carefully make your way, deduct 2 time units. Okay, so minus time, minus 2. Throw 1 die. This is where the beam is. Throw a second die. This is where you're moved to. If the 2 throws match, you have hit a beam. Turn to 55. Repeat this procedure 3 or more times. If you succeed without breaking a beam, you have reached the door. Okay, that's quite an interesting game mechanic there. So, okay, so we have 2 possibilities, 55 and 100. I'll just put an asterisk there because there are special rules for what to do, and I have to restart my camera. I'll be right back. Right, I'm back again, and after having swapped memory cards on my camera, I'm starting to upload the files to my computer, and I was in the courtyard, and I have to avoid hitting the beams. So 3 times I need to roll a die and then see if I roll the second die the same number. So basically I'm rolling 3 times, and I don't want doubles. So once, twice, 3 times, no doubles, I'm good. So, so I reach the door and go to 100. You can see no way of making the door slide open, and then you realize that it must be pushed. Huh. How old-fashioned. A door that needs to be pushed. Oh dear. This house is ancient. You step inside and find that you're in a hallway with 3 doors leading off it. While you debate which one to go through, the middle door opens and out comes an android carrying a jar. Do you take cover or attack the android? So 2 options. 11 cover or 2, 3, 6 attack. So it is an android carrying a jar. This is a domestic android. It shouldn't be too powerful, but is it best to avoid attacking it if possible? Am I less likely to be discovered? I'll take cover and see how that goes. Of course, saving my game because this is something that can end in a quite hairy situation. The android is a domestic servant type, but is equipped with a sensitive people placer. It senses you, goes over to a panel, and is about to press a button. You rush at it. So it seems that attacking it is probably the best solution because it doesn't have wireless connectivity to the alarm system. It has to actually go over and push a button. That is so funny in 2022. Yeah. Anyway, test your luck. Yep, I'm lucky. 9. Okay. If you're lucky, you have caught it before it has hit the button. If you're unlucky, 2 Excels appear. They grab you and stun you. You have no chance against them. Now, Excels, those are the combat droids. I mean, the really highly spec'd ones that basically you stand no chance if you face them. So, yeah, that's an Excel. Right. So, test luck. So unlucky is just, so just put up that there. So unlucky is just the end. So the end. So even though there was no paragraph there, that is sort of just to indicate that on my map. So clearly the only correct thing to do here is actually to not to take cover at all, but to just attack right away, because that is the result of a successful luck roll, is that you just go back to the paragraph, or you go to the paragraph that would have been if you attacked in the first place. So that is the only correct choice. The android drops the jar and it smashes. You're impressed by the use of real glass. Butler android. Skill 6, stamina 6. I've got a 4 skill point advantage. He rolls 7. Oops, hang on. Phone call. Excuse me. Right, I am back again. Let's see. Also took a little break while I was at it. So phone call and a little break. Oops, and I washed my hands, and now there's water in my book. That's right, because paper can absorb water. There you go. Right, so where was I? Yes, the butler android. And I had to fight it, so I've got a 4 skill point advantage. He rolls 8, I roll 9, so he's down to 4, 11, 7, draw, 3, 6. He's got 2 stamina left, and 6 and 2, and that means he is dead. If you win, the butler self-destructs, leaving a sticky patch on the floor. Self-destructing seems quite a sort of harmless thing here, doesn't it? Because I would think if, yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? It doesn't make any sense, because if you self-destruct in a sort of explosive way, your bits would be flying everywhere and it could injure people. If you just melt, I don't know, I suppose it just melts, I guess. Sticky patch on the floor. Yeah, so I suppose that means it's mostly made of plastic and it just melts into a puddle. Still, it's a bit weird though, isn't it? Oh well. Turn to 364. Let's see, 2, 3, 6. So that's 6, 6, and then I go to 3, 6, 4. You are faced with 3 doors. But before you can decide which to take, the left door opens and out pops a small Gromulan kid about 5 gravity years old. She stops, looks you up and down, then asks you what's happened to Beanie and her lemonade. You don't reply. She stamps her foot and a knife shoots out of her right eye straight for yours. You instinctively drop to the floor. When you look up, a giant boulder falls on top of you. You are not hurt, but you see an image of yourself across the room, breaking up cartoon style into little pieces. The little girl laughs. She holds a small illusoscope in her hand. She asks you to play with her. Do you turn to 68, or will you ignore her and search the house? Turn to 106. Okay, so well, it might be useful to play with her because she might reveal some interesting information about the house, maybe. Might even make using the com terminal might even make them into a game. Maybe there's possibilities here. Possibilities. So I'm going to 68 play or 106 ignore. So I'm going to play with this girl. See what happens. I don't usually get to play with children in fighting fantasy books. Not so much, no. Okay. You suggest a game to be played on her parents' comtel. See, that's the same kind of thinking. She tells you that she is not allowed in there. You tell her it's a code-breaking game. She stands there debating it in her mind. Her image grows until she appears to be 3 meters tall. She then assumes her real height. Small silver stars circle her head, and she agrees. This sounds a bit like sort of Snapchat filters and stuff, doesn't it? She's using her illusomatic thing to, yeah. Oh well. She touches a panel in what seems to be a blank wall, and a section of the floor moves and carries both of you through the ceiling. You notice a communicator on her wrist, and you realize that she could summon Excel guards if she wanted. Have to tread carefully now. She takes you to a door and tells you that it's in there. You ask her to go and get a vidcorder and laser pen for the game. You stress that you want the real thing, no illusions. She skips off, calling for Beanie the butler. Deduct 2 time units. By the side of the door, you see a panel with the following sequence: 54, 18, 12, question mark, 9, 2. Okay, so first of all, we have to deduct 2 time units, time minus 2. Okay, so we are now time 40. And work out the correct missing number and go to that section. You will be told at once that you are correct. If you cannot work out the missing number, turn to 124. So 124 is failure to find the correct number, and of course secret paragraph based on this little question here. So 9 to 54, 18. So let me think. What is... So, of course, there are many ways that this could go. It could be the top number is just relative to the bottom number, or it could be a kind of a sequence that may go up or down. And of course, one might follow from the previous in a way. And of course, there's always a chance that you overthink it a little bit. So, and of course, now one possibility is that 2 times 9 is 18, and what times 12 is 54. That is one possibility. Of course, it doesn't actually add up to 54, does it? No, you can't do that. You can't multiply something by 12 and get 54. So that's not it. 2 into 9 is 4.5 times. 18 to 54 is not 4.5 times. So that's not it. Usually when you see the solution to these things, it's really obvious, I guess. What is 9 to 54? 9 times 6. 9 times 6. 2 times 6 is 12. Okay. 2 times 6 is 12. 9 times 6 is 54. And 6 times 3 is 18. Could it be 3? There's a chance it is 3. Could be 3. Eighteen times 3 is 54. I'm just wondering if that is the only option. Could it be a bigger number? Of course, I sort of keep looking for the smallest number it can be now because the small numbers are on the side there. Could it be a bigger number as well? Is there a chance that there's a way this calculates that is necessitates a smaller number? I'm just going to go with 3 now, see what happens. No, it's not 3. So that means I'm thinking about this the wrong way. So let's see. So I'll just put this up here: 54, 18, 12, question mark, 9, 2. Now, of course, I've saved my game, obviously. So now I'm going to see what happens if you get the number wrong. And then if that is disastrous, then of course I'll go back and see if I can figure out what this number is supposed to be. First, I'll check out 124. A low whine begins, followed by beep, beep, beep. You realize that the alarm has gone off. The girl appears, vidcorder in hand, but you are already on the platform and heading down. The girl is being followed by a large red balloon with a face on it. She waves to you as you disappear. Downstairs, you catch sight of an Excel heading for the front door, so you run in the opposite direction. You sprint through several rooms and an open window. You forget about the beams as you rush for the outside wall. Turn to 55. That is actually the paragraph you were at earlier for bumping into a beam. So I'm wondering if this is going to be an end paragraph now. So 55. You have broken a beam. Everything becomes fluid. Images change. You find yourself on a large black square. You look around and see similar black and white squares and giant chess pieces all laid out on either side of you. To the left, a giant white pawn rushes towards you and stops in the white square. Then to your right, a black knight leaps out and lands with a thump on the black square diagonally next to yours. You know it's an illusion, but it has a powerful effect on your brain. The black knight begins to chase you, and you run for the edge of the board. It lands just behind you with a loud crash. Ahead, a black pawn blocks the way. You can either stand still or go left. So I have to analyze this a little bit because this is a chess puzzle, actually. I did not expect that in this game, but there you go. They do like playing chess, these Gromulans, so there you go. There may be something in that. So I'm going to put the options up here. I'll have to analyze that a little bit. So that's 1, 2, knee, 2, 2, knight, stand, or left. 1, 72, left. Okay, so right. So at the end there, ahead is the black pawn. Okay, so right in front of you. So I presume, well, you're white, obviously, because your opponent is black. Okay, so presumably you are a white. What are you? A white pawn? Maybe. Okay. It lands just behind me. at the moment, it doesn't sound like any of them should be able to reach me because if okay, so I'm at the edge of the board. I'll just draw this out actually. So I don't know where on the edge, but I am at the edge of a board. So I am here. There's a pawn in front of me, and there's a knight directly behind me. There's your knight is here. So and I'm on the edge of the board, which means I can either stand still or move left. So now, if I move left, of course, the pawn can take me because he has to take you diagonally. So that means that at the moment I need to stand still. Although surely I should be able to. I don't know what I am. If I am a pawn, that means that I can't, of course, move anywhere. Hopefully the knight will then move to this square here, and I can take him. So I need to stand still. So I'm going to go to 129. The black knight leaps onto the left square in true chess piece fashion. You were correct to stay still. You dodge away and jump off the board. As you run, the illusion fades and you are out on the street. You look around, there is no one to be seen. You dodge into a side street at the sight of two Grompole craft that sweep overhead and land in the grounds of the hacienda. You check the time and realize that the Silverhound leaves soon. You rush off to catch it, turn to 80. So I missed my chance at getting to the com terminal. But I'll have to revisit that at some point. So let's see, and I'm sure there's a really obvious solution that I'm not seeing there, but I will get back to that. At the moment, the game hasn't ended because I didn't get it, so I will just know that that's somewhere I will have to go back to later if it turns out, as it most likely will, that I will have to have done that to win the game. So, so I rush off to get the Silverhound, and I go to paragraph 80. So you arrive at the Silverhound terminal with little time to spare. There are many people milling around. A sign flashes above the boarding gate. Bus full. You rush towards the android standing by the door. You show it your rogue tracer's idea. There's a sharp intake of air into its system. It boards the bus and throws off a rather elderly woman. Oh, I'm a VIP apparently. She is very cross, and the other passengers stare at you while you take your seat. You sit next to an Excel and try to get some rest, but you find it difficult because there is a large group of natives at the front who keep chattering and screaming at one another while they pass around drink tubes and food cubes. They do not offer you any. Deduct 2 time units. Yeah, that sounds like being on a train, doesn't it? Okay. Okay, it's 45. So we got time -2, and then we have go to 45. So time is down to 38 now. And I go to paragraph 45, and I soon have to restart my video as well. May as well do it right now before I start on the new paragraph. You are very tired by the time you land at Roma terminal. You check when the bus is due to leave and set an alarm on your chronograph. You stagger out of the terminal. It doesn't seem like you need to remember the bus times that I made a note of last time. You stagger out of the terminal, and the first sign you see is that of a fast food and sleep unit. It looks very shabby, and some dubious characters from the bus are heading for it. That'll do nicely, squeals the gate mechanism when you slip your credit in. Inside you pick up some cubes advertised as Verwat duck flavor, and sit on a broken chair munching the tasteless mush. You look around you. Rubbish litters the area and is being kicked about by all sorts of rogues. A couple you recognize are worth a few hundred credits, but you are far too tired. Sitting on one of the sleep units is a woman cleaning a stun gun. She looks familiar and stares at you. Then she lies down and closes up her unit. You do the same. Add 6 stamina points. So if she looks familiar, does that mean she's one of my previous targets, perhaps? Could be, could be. Add 6 stamina points. Yeah, stamina is full anyway. When you get up, she is just leaving. Do you follow her or hurry on in your search? So, she looks familiar. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. At least she didn't give any signs of recognition right away. So search or follow. I'm going to follow her actually, at the risk of losing some time and possibly my life. Plus 6 stamina. So I'm going to follow her and see what happens, because that sounds like the most interesting course of action, doesn't it? She moves very fast and seems to know instinctively that you are following her. Roma is busier than Madrid, with a few more natives visible. You follow its speed, but are suddenly halted by a solid arm. A grumpole wants to check your ID, so you have to stop to show it. Test your luck. So we have a luck test, and I roll 7. So I'm lucky. My luck goes down to 8. Okay, let's see. So that is, if you're unlucky, you have lost to 10 to 221. Okay, so I presume that if you lose sight of her, okay, so that makes it sound like it's a good thing not to catch up with her in a way, or maybe it isn't. 221 lost. That's unlucky actually, and 2 8 lucky. Okay, so and you probably will have wasted time if you don't manage to. Okay, you call out and she stops and turns around. You remember where you saw her before, at a kill on Bolitrin 444. She is Arana, a very good rogue tracer. There is an immediate bond between you and you share information. She tells you that the Groms have hired her for a special. Orvium Egberg has stolen some unprotected firmware from records base in Roma, and she suspects that there is some important information on those chips. The Grumps got her in yesterday and dropped her at the terminal. Do you offer to help or carry on operating on your own? I'm interested now because I'm guessing that the information on these chips is something that is relevant to my mission as well. I'm guessing. So, so I want to offer to help, actually. So, so I'm going to go on my map here and go to 349 help. As you walk along, she tells you all the details. She suspects Orvium is going to sell to the highest bidder. You tell her your mission, for rogue tracers have no secrets from each other, and she has no objection to your using the firmware to gain information before she returns it to the Grums. She knows of a few places where Orvium and his cronies hang out. You split up and you have 2 options, the Roxyrama or Geno's Club. So, 151 151 or 285. So that is Roxy or Geno. I'll go to Roxyrama. 151 sounds suitably sleazy. Arana gives you good directions. The road is broad and clear, and there seem to be more Grums walking around, although they are always accompanied by guards who walk particularly slowly to let their short-legged masters keep up with them. The Roxyrama is an old vid palace set up in the days before Illusiovision 70, when 3D entertainment had to take place in special buildings. It looks shut when you get there. You pull at a metal grill and step inside. Deduct 2 time units. So time -2. Okay, time is now ticking down to 36. Do you go along the corridor or up the staircase? So we got corridor or staircase. So 295 or 362. So stair, corridor. I'm going to go up the staircase. 362. You can hear talking and swearing behind the door. There are two voices. You pull out your catchman. Do you go in or look around some more? So looking around some more is 295. That's the same as the corridor in the previous paragraph. Is it not? 151. Hang on. Yes. So 93. 93. Open. I'm going to open the door. Go to 93. Okay. 93. The door slides open. You jump left and fire your catchman at a rogue on the left. The plastinet envelops him. The second pulls out a blaster, but you are on him before he can fire. Also, if you lose, you are put into a sack and thrown into the river Tiber. I thought, yeah, that's not a very matter-of-fact lesson. Yeah, if you lose, you are put in the sack and thrown in the river Tiber. If you win, turn to 138. As you do, I mean, it's almost like it's sort of, yeah, that's what you expect, isn't it? You lose a fight in Rome, then yeah, you get put in the sack and thrown in the Tevere river, of course. Yeah, okay, so skill 7, stamina 8, so I've got a 3 skill point advantage. He rolls 2, I roll 6. So he's got 6 stamina left. He rolls 3, I roll 5. He's got 4 stamina left. He rolls 10, I roll 9. He's got 2 stamina left. He rolls 6, I roll 7. He is defeated. And if you win, turn to 138. So let's put that up here. I'll just try to stretch my map a little bit now to make room for new things later, still not knowing how linear this might be. You want to ask the fugitives a few questions, but they speak a dialect that your trance interpreter cannot understand. You stash them for later collection and go downstairs. Deduct 2 time units and turn to 295. Okay, so time minus 2, and then we go to 295 after all down there. That's the same as following the corridor. It's very dark in the corridor. Now, oh, actually, that means I lost 2 time units. Potentially, these 2 time units I lost may actually prove to be fatal in doing this in the time I need. This is the first time that it's clear that that time may have been something I didn't need to spend. It's very dark in the corridor. There is a curtain at the end, and you can hear music. You pull it aside and you see a 3D vid of a very old film that you once saw on Channel 44, Star Blasters. Like Star Wars or Star Trek, you think. You hear a man's laugh in the circular auditorium. He asks you what you want. You reply, Orvium. He gets up, he is huge and carries 4 blasters strapped to various parts of his body. He asks you your business and you mention the Grom firmware. He looks you up and down and says he'll take you to Orvium. Turn to 176. 176. Okay. He leads you out of the Roxyrama. He takes giant strides and you try to keep up with him. The road is deserted, overgrown and full of ruins. Yeah, well, that sounds like Rome. At one crossroads, he stops, pulls out a blaster and carefully edges round the corner. Just then, the Grom task force rockets in. They retro down from roofs and out of windows. Your companion starts firing and rushes at the group. He knocks down 3 with 1 blow. Grom craft is directing operations from high above. Do you join in the fight or try to slip away? Okay, I'm not sure I want to join in this fight. Do I want to join in the fight? Is joining the fight the only way to get the firmware chips that might give me information I need? I probably want to join the fight, actually. So let's see. So 210. 210 join, or 305 slip. Okay. There is still a possibility, of course, that what's her name, the other rogue tracer, that she might be able to get the stuff while and if slipping away might be the only way that I can meet up with her again. But I'm going to join the fight now and see what happens. Yeah, that's not a good thing. That was the wrong choice. You leap forward and he hands you one of his blasters. You follow him through ranks of androids, which seem to be no match for him. But just then the Gromcraft drops a catch-all plastinet, which envelops everybody in a sticky, smelly mess. You are caught and will be held for many days. You cannot succeed in your mission. So end. So that is the wrong choice. And I think that should actually be enough for this episode of Star Strider. Now, I'm not sure where should I go back next time. I'm still curious about this number puzzle. Of course, I do want to find out how that works. And I do want to be successful at that before I get onto this section of the book. So I'm thinking that I should go back maybe to that. If I have a good idea of how to figure it out. That seems to be probably the last sort of save game point that I'm quite sure is preceded by mostly correct paths, and it doesn't seem there's anything major missing. This does look at the moment like a rather linear gameplay book, and of course the way it's structured, where you go to Madrid and then you go to Rome and then you go to Paris and then to London, indicates also a kind of a relatively linear path through. Right, so I think I'll leave it there for the moment and continue next time, and I hope you will join me for that. So I hope you enjoyed this, the second episode of Star Strider. Every time I say Star Strider, I'm thinking about Lord of the Rings and how Sam says Strider. Strider is a shady character. Yeah. In that sort of Mummerset accent. Right. So I'm going to leave off Star Strider for next time and see how that goes. Of course, I do want to solve the puzzle of the comm terminal, and then I'll probably get back to this point where I will make some different choices. And at the moment, it seems it's linear enough that it's quite easy to sort of explain what's been going on and to pick up the story where I left off at some point along the way. So that's what I'll do, and I hope you will. I will see you there. And yeah, thanks for watching again, and goodbye for now. Bye bye. Oh.